Finally, what have you been waiting for? Okay, we've been trying to call you in for a while now. That's some of you who see me around, but for the first time, you've actually chosen this to collapse into your space-time travel experience. So, I see you, magician. I see you. We have a very, very sacred message for you today, actually. And I'm really excited to share this with you. Let me go ahead and tell you what's going on. First of all, you've activated the magician archetype in your field. The magician in this deck is known as the crow. Now, the image that I was receiving right before opening up this space was, I kind of feel like getting all the elements involved right now. Okay, it's a very exciting moment. Was the moment where someone's renovating a house, or they've just bought like this ancient house, and I'm seeing one that is thousands of years old, and they're about to kind of flip it. They're about to, I'm just seeing 𝓤𝓤𝓪𝓬𝓪, like there's an upgrade happening, and I'm seeing this as a spiritual upgrade as when it comes to the internal architecture of something. And I'm seeing like the blueprint first. Before you kind of make these big renovations or these big shifts, you end up looking at the blueprint to see what it is that you're working with. And the message I was getting was there was something that was not on the blueprint. There was something that you weren't, okay, you found something that you were looking for, but you weren't looking for this. Okay, that's the message. You found something that you didn't know you were looking for, and it's within you. It feels like you've accessed something. Okay, this level of yourself, this connection with yourself. It's some type of upgrade, but it's an unexpected upgrade that you didn't see coming. So it can be it's a sudden pivot around, okay, what do you want to do with this now? Let's backtrack. Okay, the vision I was getting was somebody in the basement, or they're like in this room, and they break down a wall and they discover a whole new room, a whole new dimension that hadn't been accessed, and it was kind of hidden in plain sight. Okay, so I'm seeing, of course it would be like, of course I would be connected to this thing, or of course I would feel this. I'm hearing like infinity with this thing. I would have this level of recollection when it comes to this. I knew that there was a draw in this direction. I didn't know why. So I'm seeing you kind of piece puzzle pieces of your life together now, and seeing how everything's led you to this moment, you know? Anyway, I was seeing this new room be accessed, right? And it reminded me of this dimension within yourself. Because you're a multi-dimensional being, this is a new dimension or facet or energetic signature existing within you that you're now discovering. And you can think about it as the journey of the Fool through the tarot. So the Fool card represents the human's journey, okay, when it comes to their life on Earth. And he ends up embarking on this journey, and he meets all these different kind of archetypes. He goes through the High Priestess and the Hierophant and the Magician, the Devil, you know, he in the World card, he goes through all these kind of major arcanas and all the minor arcanas when it comes to history on this planet. And essentially what happens is these archetypes appear to be external, but they're actually accessed as he moves through different planes of consciousness within himself. The deeper that he meets himself, the more interconnected he feels to all beings that have played a part into his story. Okay, it's the infinite source playing with itself through countless life forms, and he begins collecting these puzzle pieces that make up the biggest story of his life, essentially. And that's what I'm seeing happen with you. These different dimensional fields that you be in realming actually come with different beings that occupy these dimensional fields. And the deeper that you meet yourself, the higher you go, because dimensions are internal, they're not external. We often believe that dimensions are somewhere out there, you know, it's a spatial concept, that's what the brain is formatted to believe, but really it's vibrational frequencies that are self-organized within our internal architecture. So they're not levels that we must access, or numbers that we climb, or that we can measure. It's a misunderstanding. Dimensions are not external places to you. You know, they're not even destinations that we reach. Instead, they are organized via vibrational frequency. And it's the architecture of your own internal consciousness. And the message I was receiving is that you have entered into a dimension or an octave of yourself that is symbolic of the magician. Okay. And some of you, it's your first time meeting this magician within yourself within this lifetime. Okay, but you're very, very acquainted with this energy, and it felt like you were entering into the house of the magician. I'm seeing this really funny visual of someone knocking down the wall in this house that they've just purchased. And the thing is, the house in the metaphysical realm, it represents the soul and also the self. So it feels like you've been going deeper into yourself. And I'm seeing like them break down the wall, and the magician is there, seated, right? He's just there, kind of doing his own thing, and he kind of looks to them, and he's like, "Oh, I've been waiting. You know, hey, it's me. I'm another you." Imagine another archetypal manifestation of yourself that is representative and symbolic of this. You are all the archetypes, and you're shape shifting through them, right? You're moving through them multidimensionally, but you don't just wander through the magician's house. This is you arriving on purpose, even if you don't know why. It's almost like, hey, I've been waiting for your arrival, right? Almost for like the introduction of it's like this is being mirrored to you in your reality right now. But the moment that you cross the threshold, something begins to sharpen, right? When you tune into this very specific energetic signature. We're going to go ahead and read the card. But your awareness actually pulls you inwards in this moment. You know, you feel a huge shift in the atmosphere. It's like you're walking into another realm, because it's just before a storm kind of breaks out or a spell is cast out into the cosmos. This house doesn't ask about what it is that you believe. Instead, it asks, what do you know how to use within yourself, right? What do you know how to utilize within yourself? Nothing is decorated in this room, right? It can even be almost this blank room, or somewhere that's yet to be kind of discovered, because you create things in this room. It kind of reminds you of the construct room in the Matrix, where anything that they think comes into form, right? It manifests into form, and that's what the magician represents. He has these 4 aces. He has the Ace of Pentacles, and the Ace of Cups, and the Ace of Wands, and the Ace of Swords, right? He has all of these different elements that he works with. I think that's why I banged my singing earlier, and I was like, I want to work with all the elements. I feel like this is what's being activated in your field, right? And what the house feels like is this place has intention. You know, it has intention, even though nothing is really overly decorated. It has its own kind of aesthetic. You know, you'll see things that have use there. There will be tools that are laid out with a level of precision. There could be symbols that are kind of repeated across the room, even if it's things that were kind of written on the walls, like with dust, you know, in just a finger. It's where windows are positioned in a way that catches exact alignments. Everything is extremely intentional within this space. And I feel like this is an octave that you tune into within yourself, right? Maybe when you do things, you do them a very specific way or very specific order. There is this sense of, you know, a secret order and what could be chaotic to other people. And I'm seeing like organized chaos. So maybe there's like a, you know, I'm seeing it as maybe you're an artist and there's something that you do, and it seems like, you know, the colors are everywhere and everything's all over the place. But you know, when you walk into like a highly creative person's room, or they're just really in their element, right? Or they're working with a very particular element, as the magician would. It's like, no, things have never been so right. I know exactly where things are, but it's very accustomed to you. And I'm seeing that when it comes to the story of your life. It's like this archetype or this octave that you tune into allows you to see a secret order to what could have appeared disorderly to your human eyes. It's almost like, no, everything had to be this way, because if I didn't meet this person then that opportunity wouldn't have come up, or I wouldn't have gone to that place. I received that message as I went to that place, and that led me to this, and then I'm kind of seeing that happen right, when it comes to you. But yeah, it's a sense that, you know, everything is kind of listening, and the house feels alive, right? Or this room within your house that you've discovered feels alive, and it's kind of waiting for you to decide. And when it comes to the presence of the magician, and I'm just seeing these different archetypes like come face to face, right? And it's the illusion of something external again, but again, they are completely interconnected. It's almost like a projection just so that you can experience yourself from a subjective lens, but it ultimately is you. You know, there is no separation between these entities, between these archetypes. All subjectives make up the whole objective anyway. But to experience yourself from an outside view, imagine meeting yourself when you're in this dimension of yourself. It's like, this is the face that people see, right? It's like you're seeing yourself from an outside perspective. So if you were to meet this octave that you tune into from an outside perspective, this is someone that already knows your talents, but they're more curious about whether you know them or not. Okay, so this is what it would be like to kind of meet you from this outside perspective. His gaze lands gently, but also extremely firmly. Again, this is someone who knows that their thoughts matter and their words carry weight, and their intention really moves things in this realm. Where it is that their attention goes and their intention flows, their energy also follows, and that energy is then translated into a physical experience. So they understand the weight behind anything that they focus on, you know, almost magnifies in this experience. And it's not a house for unconscious wandering because of that. Like, you have to be very conscious in the way that you navigate this third dimensional plane. And there is an octave within you that you attune to that allows you to tune into that very conscious direction. Almost like you're gently guiding, you know, your consciousness through this realm. That's what it feels like. Because he understands that focus is power. Again, this is a bioelectrical being that you are. So he thinks of something and then his emotions are bioelectricity and it charges up that thought into a thought form within the quantum field. And the moment that he acts upon this, he actually sends ripples through space and time. And that thought form begins to collapse because it creates this velocity to this kinetic energy and it creates this momentum. And he begins to actually draw this concept or something intangible into something that becomes very tangible in his experience. So this is from, I'm hearing pen to paper, right? But I'm hearing it goes from mind to paper. It goes from your mind to holding it in your hand. He's very aware of that subtle process of how to take something from in here and manifest it in the external. So I feel you have recently been a guest for yourself, okay? But from an outside perspective, when you're tuning into this octave, you are also awakening the magician within others. Because if I am the magician and I'm welcoming you into this place that you've just discovered, right? This magical corner of the planet within your internal world, what happens is you'll see his workspace. It's actually very intentional. And he has not much on his table. He only has 4 things. The first thing he has is an Ace of Wands, okay? The Ace of Wands is about his will, okay? The things that ignite him, the action that he chooses to take in this realm. And the second thing that he has on his table is an Ace of Chalices. The Ace of Chalices is his emotions. And he's really, really intentional around the things that he chooses to feel. And his relationship behind the things that he does, okay? So the next thing you'll see is the Ace of Birds. The Ace of Swords is also on his table, and this is to do with his mind. He's really, really intentional with where his mind is. Because if he masters his emotion and he masters mind, then he also has mastered matter, which is the Ace of Pentacles. So you'll realize something quietly confronting as you stand side by side at the magician's table with all of these kind of tools that he has. Well, first of all, the tools aren't external. The tools are a reflection of what he already has within him to manifest anything that he desires in this third dimensional plane. So what's missing isn't an ability to be harnessed externally. It's just a coherence with what it is that we already have within us, because we are all natural creators in this system. So the magician shows you how scattered energy begins to leak power when we begin to externalize our life force, compared to when we turn that back inwards and we no longer have a distorted vision or belief system that's clouding the way that we see ourselves as creators in this realm, right, on this planet. And he shows you how focus turns intention into form, and to be extremely intentional with where your focus moves, right, where your consciousness moves in this realm. What guests often realize about themselves after being accompanied by the magician is this responsibility that begins to settle in around their reality being a result of everything that they do or do not do, or haven't allowed themselves to do up until now, and where it is that they'd rather align themselves. There is this creative accountability that begins to occur, because they'll see these four aces and they'll be like, where has my will or my physical action not been supporting my emotional needs, you know? Or it could be in any kind of order of this. It could even be like, where has my emotions not been in tune or in alignment with the things that I'm doing in this realm, right? Where have I mentally, you know, not been present while I'm physically doing this thing, right? It tells you how you need all four of these aces to really come into a harmonious alignment for you to really begin to intentionally ground and anchor things in this realm. So they begin to also see where they've been underestimating their influence, or the influence that they could have, or something that they create in this realm could have. Their words have been also shaping outcomes unconsciously, right? They begin to see that. They begin to see how there's certain timeline of experiences they've undergone, or where it is that they currently find themselves, and how that's based upon everything that they've chosen to do or not do up until this moment. But they also have the ability to change that, you know? So it actually becomes a very empowering thing, but also a confronting thing that's needed, because their attention has been their most misused resource. Okay, maybe they didn't even understand the power that attention has. So this house, it doesn't inspire like the Queen of Wands, right, reading that we did. It doesn't even soothe like the other archetypes, maybe like the Queen of Cups, but it's designed to activate. You leave knowing that you're no longer waiting for permission, but instead you're waiting for this alignment to happen internally. You to totally feel aligned with the things that you're doing in the external, and feeling like they support our inner world, and like the things that we conclude in regards to what's needed for our inner world also being supported by the things externally, right, that we immerse ourselves in. You leave knowing that you're not waiting for permission anymore. Instead, you've been waiting for this internal alignment to happen, to feel totally aligned with the things that you do in this physical realm. And if there's certain things that you do in this physical realm that don't feel aligned with your internal world, well, what can we shift there, right? How can we revisit and shift our perspective or our relationship to this? Okay, so there is this mirror of mastery, because before you leave, the magician holds up this mirror to you, right? This very specific archetype. Where is he? And it's not to admire yourself, but it's kind of to witness casualty in many ways, where you see moments that a thought became a pattern in your reality, right? Maybe a belief ended up becoming a boundary, and that boundary ended up becoming something that blocked you from potential realities that you could experience. A choice had ended up altering your entire timeline. That's what you see in the mirror. You know, it's like this confrontation of your life being a product of your own creation, conscious or unconscious. And there is no guilt here, right? It's not to shame you. It's actually to bring you into deeper clarity, to recognize yourself as a creator, right? Because mastery begins in the moment where we stop pretending that we're powerless. So the magician octave is designed to be an archetype to remind us of our power, okay? And to also remind you that to not fear your power, okay? Because that's really all you are. You are a powerful being. That's really your true self. Naturally, when you leave the magician's house, the exit feels far different than how you felt entering. The moment before you had broken down that wall within yourself, it felt extremely different to discover this new place within yourself, right? It felt extremely different to see this archetype of the magician that was also you in this room, and get to know it, you know, really get accustomed, get acquainted with your power. So you don't feel lighter, like after the Fool's House, for example. Instead, you just feel clearer. You feel more precise in the way that you navigate this realm. You'll feel also more accountable and more capable. And as you step back into the world, the magician leaves you with no speech, only just a pure knowing that what you focus on now will answer you. So be really intentional with what it is that you focus on. The quiet truth of the magician's house is that it's not fantasy. It is intent that is then supported with how we physically apply ourselves in this realm. Or if we intend something and there's an incongruency between the things that we want and the things that we do, this is where we become accountable for the incongruencies or how we know a path and we actually walk that path, compared to knowing a better path to take but actively not taking that path. So this is the moment where we see something that we thought was almost impossible to see, and it's that you were never missing the tools, you were only learning to better use them. So that is the energy of the magician and the magician's house. And not only is this how you're perceived when you tune into this dimensional frequency within yourself, but it's also guiding you. This is a projection and manifestation of your own subconscious mind that is guiding you in ways that you move through this existence. So in moments where you feel powerless, you can also tune into this octave of yourself that remembers themselves as a powerful being and knows exactly what the inconsistencies may be, and holding themselves accountable to, okay, how is everything that I'm doing in the present moment supporting this future that I want to anchor into the present? How in alignment is that, right? And also, what is my dominant frequency right now? Am I feeling pessimistic? Am I feeling optimistic? Because those are the resonant parallel future timelines that I'm then going to align with, almost like a train track, right? So that's the power of the magician. I'm going to go and read the magician for you. So, the crow, the magician, a force of creation, manifestation. As if from nothing, the crow materializes. Emerald green ribbons of light shimmer around the crow as it carries death away on its back. The crow flies with certainty, and it understands that there is an appropriate direction to all things. That which comes must eventually go. While the crow may seem small, it is the magician manifested a strong current of energy from within. The crow teaches us how to change energy into a force of creation. We can learn great things from the crow, but even greater things from ourselves. If you can will it, it can happen. You have called upon the crow to manifest boundless creative energy. Let it fill you, and then exhale it back into the universe. When there is something in your life that you want, meditate on it. If it doesn't already exist, create it. You will find that you will naturally gravitate towards the paths that will get you there. This is the gravitational pull in which you receive and in which you honor and follow in this realm. So, with that being said, I'm going to love and leave you guys right there. It's funny because we even have the crow here at the base, actually. And the crow in this deck talks about the courage to step into a new life. So that could be the theme. This could be the version of self that you're tuning into, the octave of yourself that you're tuning into, that really embodies that new life that you're being summoned into. I'm going to go ahead and actually read this because it's like the crow was awaiting for this arrival. We have 4-4. So again, we have that reflection of you being safe, stable, and secure as you do this. An invitation to act now. The courage to step into a new life, sheltering from turbulence. When the perfect storm appears, it cautions you to be ready for an exciting, if turbulent, time. The winds are picking up and you need to make sure that you are close to the eye of the storm. For you, or you will be buffeted by the gusts that may take you far from where you need to be. The key is to remain centered and balanced and bear witness to all the forces building in intensity. Notice how little of it you truly need. Let go of those thoughts, beliefs, and attitudes that clutter your heart and cloud your mind. Then the storm will be absolutely perfect for you. If you wonder what you might lose during the perfect storm, know that it's the things that you're most attached to that will be taken first. As if life were trying to unburden us from our righteous self-importance. Let it all go with the wind. The less you resist the change brought by the perfect storm, the happier that you'll be. Ride the waves to your next destination. Embrace the rain or snow. Remember that every time you try to argue with nature, you lose. The perfect storm can also be a call for you to seize the moment. There might be a great opportunity that you need to take advantage of right now. Here, time is of the essence. It may be gone shortly, so do not hesitate. Go off and bite off more than you can chew and take the storm on in all of its terrifying greatness. Experiencing the fullness of life, you will succeed. And the funny thing about the magician and the crow is that when you zoom out enough, what appears to be a storm actually ends up becoming a speck when it comes to the story of your life. So, prepare for change. It reminds you of a Seven of Swords card because we have the crow depicted with the Aquarian energy. There's something that you may be announcing to yourself first, and the things in which you go on to create in this existence will announce themselves for you. I have that feeling. So, I'm gonna love any of you guys right there. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, do consider subscribing because we love to have you around. Personal reading details also down below. Also check out Unlisted if you're looking for some high quality AAA grade jewelry. We have lapis lazuli, celestite, and also rainbow moonstone on today. So you have two discount codes in the description box down below. $1 of the proceeds are also donated towards otter sanctuaries. And if you made it to this point, comment down below something that you feel like is symbolic of the magician. It could be a magic wand, it could be the magic hat, maybe you're pulling out a white rabbit from it. Let me know, guys. Always enjoy to see them, and I'll speak to you very soon. Until next time, bye.